A term a lot of people on the spectrum use is, I feel like I'm on the wrong planet sometimes. It's strange. You feel like you're on the outside all the time, like you're a fringe element. I'm not the only autistic person in my family. My son is going to get to that point one day where he realizes that he's different from everybody else. But I want him to know that's a good thing, that we don't all have to be on the same wavelength. We can each sing our own song.
One, two, ready, go. May we be happy, may we be healthy, may we be peaceful, may we be true.
I'm Bethy Young, and I'm the mom to Raz and Lola. My husband's Gustav.
May everybody be peaceful, may everybody be true.
We are an autistic family.
We might see a few snails too, 'cause it's a little cooler out. My son didn't talk till he was about 4. Speech was a hurdle with him for a long time, and there were other signs. He had trouble sitting still.
He was my first kid, so for a while I was just like, oh, he's not talking. I didn't really think much about it. Gus kept being like, kind of think he's autistic, and I kept saying no. It was very much the norm in our house, so like seeing him next to Gus or even next to me was not a big deal. He just did a lot of stuff we did. Look, Spike! So finally I was like, let's get him diagnosed, and he got diagnosed with autism, and when he was 4, he still really wasn't talking. So I had to learn how to communicate with him before he was speaking.
Do we have syrup?
We do have syrup.
Good, because I like syrup.
I know that.
It can be hard for him to express himself still. Like, he gets very frustrated when somebody... I know, but listen, there's no reason to yell. And then Lola's big issue used to be that she was kind of becoming like a little bit of a glass door child. When Raz started having trouble, she would sit perfectly still and be perfect, which most parents are like, yay, that's amazing. But I was like, no, I need her to be a normal toddler and be able to express her feelings as well.
Why don't you get some chairs?
Yeah!
So y'all can both help.
We're a homeschool family. Homeschooling them is kind of like my big thing right now.
With Raz, he had trouble transitioning from one event to the next. It's kind of heartbreaking. You want to put him in this really good place, and he's not like others. One of the reasons we homeschool him is because we need a curriculum that's shifting along with him. He's fluid.
We kind of started doing poetry breakfast on Wednesday mornings. All homeschoolers love poetry for some reason. Okay, that's the picture.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm being eaten by a boa constrictor. A boa constrictor, a boa constrictor. The whole point is to get them to be what they want to be as adults, and we try to really follow their passion. Like, what do they love to do, and what do we love to do? And let's build a life around that. Raz loves nature, and I started forest school, and I found, like, my passion within his passion. It was beautiful.
Do you hate snails? They're slow.
Sometimes there's physical limitations. Sometimes your kids will keep you up at night. And sometimes they've just been talking all day, and it's just like, oh my gosh. And sometimes you get overloaded, especially being autistic.
Gus has not been formally diagnosed. It's been pretty much presumed his entire life. Autism wasn't heard of as much back then. Like, people said horrible things.
I realized in school, I never felt like I was like other people. I would hide from people. I'd be either hiding in a dark classroom, eating lunch by myself, or I'd go hide in the theater. The theater was my favorite hiding place. I just had a deep social anxiety. I just watched people talk, and I was just confused. Sometimes I still am.
It was obvious I was, like, different. I'm diagnosed as mildly mentally retarded. At kindergarten, I was put in special needs classes. It was just what I guess they decided. My mom just told me, don't worry about it. You are smart. You think differently. And I just never felt my diagnosis fit me.
Hi.
Gustav is like the single most amazing human on the face of this earth. He's shy, but he's quirky. He's like this really funny sense of humor that really matches mine.
She's full of energy. I can see where my kids get it from. She lights up my life pretty much every day. Every part of me that people find unnerving, she sees as a positive. And that's the person you want to be with. You want to be with that person who accepts those oddities of you, and she's always seen me as delightfully different.
Sensory kids. I was a sensory kid, Gus is a sensory kid, Raz is for sure a sensory kid.
Sensory seeking, it's different for each person because autism is a spectrum. There might be certain things they seek out sensory-wise, but some people are sensory avoiders.
Raz would seek certain textures, which means we often would wake up and there'd be flour everywhere. That was our life.
The music's a big thing with him. He really likes the electroplankton, kind of manipulating the sounds. He likes hearing his own voice and playing it back. I think he gets a kick out of that. It's giving him an outlet and helps him regulate. It's a little chaotic, but it's fun. I composed this music entirely on my Nintendo DS. Chiptune is kind of an electronic format where people either use video game hardware to make music or use those limitations to create music. Sometimes Raz kind of just composes with me when I just freeform it. I'd been kind of playing around with that kind of music, and then I met other musicians who did it, and a lot of them were also on the spectrum. More and more people are starting to be aware of what autism is, and there's a lot more positivity going around, and that's what I want to do. I want to bring positivity to that and show people, you know, it doesn't have to be seen as a person being broken or missing a puzzle piece. I hope Raz and Lola can embrace who they are and not be afraid of what they are, regardless of what anyone tells them. I don't want them to feel stifled or feel a need to fit in or be this little round peg that needs to fit into the hole. They can be a square peg. Square pegs are more fun.
I guess the big struggle is usually people who don't know us making assumptions, especially about Raz, that because he's having a hard day, he's bad, or because Gus is pacing around, he's not hands-on. We overcome these things by just being who we are and hoping people love us for it.